The words echoed in her mind, sharper than the glass of the showroom doors that had just been shut in her face. "Ma'am, perhaps the used car lot down the street would be more suitable for you?" The salesman's voice, dripping with disdain, replayed over and over, each syllable a fresh stab of humiliation. Alara stood on the polished concrete of the luxury car dealership's parking lot, her heart hammering against her ribs. She wasn't crying, not yet. The shock was too cold, too deep. She looked down at herself, really looked, for the first time that day. Her jeans were comfortable, but flecked with a bit of dried paint from her morning in the art studio. Her sneakers were worn in, molded to her feet from years of walking through her garden. Her hair was pulled back in a simple, practical ponytail. She was, by all accounts, a simple woman. She had never believed that was a bad thing, until today. It was supposed to be a special day, a secret day. Her husband, Arthur, had a big birthday coming up. He was the most wonderful man she had ever known, a man who worked so hard, yet always came home and looked at her as if she were the entire world. He drove a modest, 10-year-old sedan, insisting it was perfectly fine. But Ilara knew he secretly dreamed of something better, something safer, something that reflected the success he never, ever bragged about. So, she had decided to surprise him. She was going to walk in and pay cash for a brand new, top-of-the-line SUV. A family car, a car for their future. She had walked into the gleaming dealership, a place that smelled of new leather and quiet money, with a hopeful smile on her face. The cars sat like sculptures under the bright lights, magnificent and powerful. She felt a little thrill of excitement. She couldn't wait to see Arthur's face. But the moment a young, slick-haired salesman named Marcus laid eyes on her, his own face soured. He'd looked her up and down, a slow, insulting appraisal that made her feel like a bug under a microscope. "Can I help you?" he asked, and the way he said it made it clear he hoped the answer was no. "Yes, hello," Alara had said, her voice warm. "I'm interested in that large black SUV over there, the GLS model." Marcus actually smirked, a small, cruel twitch of his lips. "That's a $100,000 vehicle, ma'am. The financing pre-approval process is quite rigorous." "Oh, that won't be a problem," Alara replied cheerfully, reaching into her oversized tote bag. "I'll be paying for it outright." The salesman's smirk didn't fade. It deepened. He folded his arms, blocking her path. "Listen, I don't want to waste your time or, more importantly, my time. We are a serious establishment for serious buyers. We don't get a lot of window shoppers for these kinds of cars." The implication hung in the air, thick and suffocating. He thought she was a joke. He thought she was lying or delusional. The warmth in Alara's chest began to cool, replaced by a growing knot of hurt. "I'm not a window shopper," she said, her voice a little quieter now. "I'm a serious buyer." "Right," Marcus said, rolling his eyes. He took a step toward her. "Look, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're making the other customers uncomfortable." Alara looked around. The few other people in the showroom weren't even looking at her. They were engrossed with other salespeople. He was just trying to get rid of her. The injustice of it was a physical blow. Her eyes started to prickle with tears. "But I haven't done anything." "You're not going to buy a car, and you're disrupting the atmosphere of the showroom," he said, his voice low and firm now. He gestured toward the door with a flick of his wrist, a gesture of dismissal one might use for a stray dog. "Like I said, the used lot is just down the road. I'm sure they have something in your price range." And that was it. He had walked her to the door, his presence a silent, intimidating force at her back, and shut it firmly behind her. Now, standing in the parking lot, the tears finally came. Hot and silent, they tracked down her cheeks. It wasn't about the car. It was about being seen as nothing. It was about a complete stranger deciding her worth based on a pair of old shoes and making her feel small, worthless. She fumbled for the keys to her old, rusty hatchback, the very car that had probably sealed her fate in the salesman's eyes. The drive home was a blur of traffic lights and shame. Have you ever been judged unfairly? Made to feel like you don't belong? It's a feeling that cuts deeper than any insult. If you can relate to Alara's pain, hit that like button to show your support. Because how her husband responds to this injustice is something you will not want to miss. When she pulled into the driveway of her beautiful, secluded home, Arthur was already outside, tending to the rose bushes that lined the walkway. He was a man of immense wealth, a titan of the tech industry, but he was happiest here with dirt on his hands in the sanctuary they had built together. He looked up and smiled the moment he saw her car, but his smile instantly vanished when he saw her face. He dropped his gardening shears and rushed to her car door, opening it before she could even turn off the engine. "Alara, my love, what is it? What's wrong?" The dam of her composure broke. She fell into his arms, sobbing, the whole ugly, humiliating story tumbling out between gasps. She told him about her secret plan, about her excitement, and about the cold, dismissive eyes of the salesman, Marcus. She told him the words that hurt the most, something in your price range. Arthur held her, stroking her hair. He didn't say anything at first. He just let her cry, absorbing all her pain and hurt. But as she quieted down, she felt a change in him. The warmth of his embrace was still there, but underneath it, a different kind of energy was building. A deep, still, and terrifyingly cold anger. She looked up at his face. His expression was calm, but his eyes, usually so full of soft affection for her, now held a glint of steel. "He made you cry?" he said, his voice quiet. It was not a question. It was a statement of fact, a verdict. "It's silly, I know," she started, trying to wipe her tears. "No," he said, his voice firm but gentle as he tucked a stray hair behind her ear. "It is not silly, not at all." He looked at the dealership's business card she had crumpled in her hand. He took it from her, smoothed it out, and looked at the name. Prestige Motors. "Don't worry about the car, my love," he said, his voice still unnervingly cold. "I'll take care of it." Alara didn't know what that meant, but the look in his eyes sent a shiver down her spine. The matter was far from over. The next morning, it was business as usual at Prestige Motors. Marcus was preening, recounting the story of the crazy paint-splattered lady to his colleagues, earning a few chuckles. He was leaning against the reception desk, sipping a latte, feeling on top of the world. He'd just saved himself from wasting an hour on a nobody. That was good business sense. Then, a sound began to cut through the quiet morning traffic. A low, powerful hum that grew into a deep, resonant purr. Everyone in the showroom instinctively turned to look out the massive glass windows. Pulling into the lot was not just a car, but a statement. It was a bespoke, midnight blue Rolls Royce Phantom, a car so opulent and rare that it made the top-tier Mercedes on the floor look like a child's toy. It glided into the VIP spot right in front of the entrance with an unnatural silence. Its sheer presence demanded reverence. Before anyone could even react, a second vehicle, a black Range Rover Sentinel, pulled in behind it, and then a third, another Range Rover. It wasn't a customer arriving, it was a procession. Marcus's jaw went slack. The manager, a portly man named Mr. Harrison, straightened his tie and began walking briskly toward the door, his face a mixture of awe and panic. Who could this be? A head of state? A celebrity? A chauffeur in a crisp black suit emerged from the Rolls Royce and opened the rear passenger door. A man in an impeccably tailored dark gray suit stepped out. He was tall, with a quiet but commanding presence. He didn't look at the dealership. Instead, he turned and extended his hand back into the car. And then, she stepped out. It was the woman from yesterday. It was Elara Sterling, the reclusive, media-shy tech billionaire whose face was almost never seen, but whose name was synonymous with unimaginable power.
She radiated a quiet confidence that eclipsed every gleaming vehicle in the showroom. Marcus froze. The latte cup trembled in his hand. The blood drained from his face as the horrible, impossible realization dawned on him. The woman he had kicked out, the woman in paint-flecked jeans, she was with him. No, he hadn't just been with him. He had held the door for her. He was looking at her with an expression of pure adoration. She wasn't his assistant. She was his wife. The look on that salesman's face is a picture of pure regret. We're about to witness what happens when arrogance meets real power. If you're enjoying this story, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a moment of sweet justice. Mr. Harrison, the manager, practically stumbled out the door, his face pale and sweaty. "Mr. Sterling, what an honor! We had no idea you were gracing us with a visit. Please, come in, come in." Arthur ignored him completely. His gaze was fixed on Marcus, who looked like he was about to be sick. Arthur and Elara began to walk slowly toward the entrance, their footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. "You," Arthur said, his voice not loud but carrying with absolute authority. He pointed a single finger at Marcus. "What is your name?" Marcus swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. Marcus, sir?" "Marcus," Arthur repeated, the name tasting like poison in his mouth. He stopped directly in front of him, Elara standing serenely by his side. "My wife, Elara, came to your establishment yesterday." Every employee was now frozen, watching the drama unfold. "She came here," Arthur continued, his voice dangerously low, "to do you the courtesy of buying a car. She was going to surprise me for my birthday. She was going to walk in here and write you a check for the most expensive family vehicle you have on this floor. And you kicked her out." Mr. Harrison's eyes widened in horror. He turned on Marcus, his face turning a blotchy red. "Marcus, is this true?" Marcus couldn't speak. He just stared at Elara, who met his gaze not with anger, but with a quiet, profound disappointment that was somehow worse. "You judged her," Arthur said, taking a step closer. "You looked at this wonderful, kind, brilliant woman, and you saw nothing but her clothes. You decided she wasn't worthy. You humiliated her, and you made her cry." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. The silence was deafening. "So," Arthur said, turning to the terrified manager, "we came back today. I was going to buy every single car on this floor. I was going to buy them all, just to make a point. But as we were driving over, my wife and I had a talk." He looked at Elara, and his expression softened for a fraction of a second. "And she reminded me that grand, empty gestures are meaningless. It's the substance that matters." He turned his steely gaze back at Mr. Harrison. "You see, for the last 3 months, my acquisitions team has been in negotiations to buy out the parent company that owns this dealership chain, all 37 locations. It was going to be a birthday gift for my wife. She has a brilliant mind for business and a passion for design. I thought she would enjoy running it, reshaping it with her values, integrity, kindness, and respect for all people. Mr. Harrison looked like he was going to faint. The largest private acquisition in his company's history was a birthday gift? The deal was set to close this Friday, Arthur said, his voice as final as a judge's gavel. But as of this morning, consider it terminated. I will not have my wife's name associated with an organization that employs people like Marcus, an organization that allows a culture where a person's worth is measured by the label on their shirt. Marcus finally found his voice, a desperate, pathetic squeak. Please, sir, I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I'm so sorry. Arthur didn't even look at him. He looked at Mr. Harrison. He's your problem, but my business here is done. As they turned to leave, Ilara stopped. She looked at Marcus, whose entire world had just crumbled around him. He was no longer a slick, arrogant salesman. He was just a terrified young man who had made a catastrophic error in judgment. A person's value, she said softly, her voice clear and strong, is not in their wallet or their wardrobe. It's in their heart. I hope one day you learn that. And with that, they walked away. They got back into the Rolls Royce, the door was shut by the chauffeur, and the magnificent car glided silently away, leaving a smoking crater in the middle of Prestige Motors' reputation and future. Later that afternoon, Arthur drove Ilara to a private airfield. He let her into a large, clean hangar, and there, in the center, under a single spotlight, was a car. It wasn't a new, flashy SUV. It was a vintage 1960s Aston Martin DB5, restored to breathtaking perfection, its silver birch paint gleaming. It was elegant, timeless, and full of character. It was everything Ilara would have chosen for herself. She gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Arthur stood behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. The dealership was just a business, Ilara. This is a gift. This is you. Classic, brilliant, and utterly irreplaceable. Tears filled Ilara's eyes again, but this time they were tears of overwhelming love and joy. She leaned back against his chest, her heart full. In that moment, she knew that true wealth had nothing to do with cars or companies. It was the feeling of being truly seen, completely understood, and unconditionally loved by the person standing beside you. What a full-circle moment, from humiliation to complete vindication. What was your favorite part of this story? Let us know in the comments below. For more powerful and emotional stories that will touch your heart, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have your notification bell turned on. You won't want to miss the next one.